We often think our early years don't matter much, but Beth Thomas shows us that's not true.
And what do you do to the animals, Beth?
Stick them with pins.
What happens to us before we're 3 can have a big impact on our lives.
The nightmare was about a man who was falling on her and hurting her with a part of himself.
From abuse from his own father to becoming a chronic masturbator.
She started to masturbate at inappropriate times.
To even trying to kill his own brother.
Do you ever stick pins in people? Who?
My brother.
The child caused misery and hell for his adoptive parents, prompting interventions from unconventional sources.
I have children that have killed numerous times. Cold-blooded family members, neighbor children, killed them.
They believe that they're evil, they believe they're from the devil, they believe that they are not a person of value, and we have to change that, and we have to build that from a child who's nothing, who's a bad kid in their own mind, to a child who's valuable and loving, and they see themselves as that.
So what I was diagnosed with was reactive attachment disorder.
At his chin, he had to have stitches in it.
Let's explore Beth's story, a 6-year-old girl who could kill. In the early 1980s, Julie and Tim Tennant stood at a crossroads in their lives. A decade of marriage had passed without the laughter and pitter-patter of little feet they had so longed for. Tim, a devoted pastor at a small Methodist church in the heart of the American South, and Julie, his loving wife, felt a void that only a family could fill. Their journey led them down the path of adoption, a decision filled with hope and uncertainty. Little did they know, this choice would shape the course of their lives in ways they could never have imagined. It wasn't until after staying with Beth and her younger brother John that Beth's abnormalities began to surface. They were innocent at first glance, but harbored a dark secret. These kids were not normal kids. Beth's actions were truly shocking. She was sticking pins into her own brother, and her violence escalated to hitting him in the stomach at night, resulting in his hospitalization at one point. The situation became so dire that the door to Jonathan's room had to be locked to prevent her from causing him further harm. The once warm home became a prison, a desperate measure to protect an innocent child from his own sister, who was hell-bent on harming him, even to the point of potential death. But Beth's darkness went deeper. She confessed to wanting to kill her adoptive parents during an interview with Dr. Ken McGidd, a psychologist without guilt or fear. She hid knives plotting harm against her brother and even smashed his head on the floor several times without remorse. And the horror didn't stop there. Beth's cruelty extended to helpless animals. She confessed to have killed birds whose mother was away even after being warned by her mother. It's baffling how a child so young, who was supposed to embody innocence, could become this psychopathic. These behaviors reveal the depth of hopelessness, lovelessness, and lack of conscience in this poor little child. But you might ask yourself, how did this young girl possess such surreal thoughts and behaviors? Was she born a psychopath, destined for this dark path from the moment she entered the world? Beth's adoptive parents were unprepared for revelations that would unfold of the kids' early childhood. Before they adopted these kids, they were living in a household shrouded in difficulties. Their mother's untimely demise from a kidney disease shortly after giving birth to Jonathan took a great toll on them. But that was not the only tragedy. Their father abandoned them too. In his infancy, Jonathan bore the brunt of their father's neglect. He was left hungry and unattended with diapers worn for days. But the abuse didn't stop there. Beth was equally abused. He was abused both physically and sexually by her own father, something that left deep scars in her soul and conscience. This is the end of part 1. Join us in the next chapter as we explore Beth's healing journey and where she is currently.